this thing's gonna lock in and you're gonna be able to drag that shutter and it's still gonna be locked in every single time and in focus. I think this is the camera to beat right now. So this is a fun one here today. We have the A7R VI here in my hands, Sony's brand new release. And we want to see how it goes. So we're going to put it head to head with the A7R V and see if it is a worthy successor for their high resolution beast. So we're going to stick the Profoto Connect Pro remote on the top here, just so we can use our strobe lights. We've already checked, this remote works fine. There's no caveats with firmware or anything. That can often be an issue. We're also going to tether. Now, the tough part with that will be, we will have to shoot JPEG. Of course, being a brand new release, there is not yet the raw updates for capture for us to be able to tether. Still works, we have checked. And the other nice thing is there's meant to be some improvements with like white balance, and I want to see how that comes across in terms of like how the images render, especially being limited to JPEG today. We're going to plug this in to one of the dual USB-C ports, which I'm really enjoying because like one of the quick things I first worked out is you can map them. You can make one for tethering, one for charging, for example. We're going to see how this operates. We're going to see how that autofocus kind of feels. Now, we're using the Profoto lighting setup. I've talked a lot about it. I've been using this for a long, long time. I just think their stuff is easy, it's great, and we've got a lot of options, which you'll see today. I'm going to like try a bunch of different things with our different pieces of talent because I want them to kind of get a few different variations of different shots. We're going to compare that afterwards straight to the A7R V. We know that'll make a huge difference for a lot of people, seeing if whether the autofocus updates are worth it or whether like these little improvements like the dual USB ports and the color out of the camera is good. All right, so we're just going for one big light, start nice and broad, make it, see how it looks, and then we'll kind of like dial in from there. And last question for you, do you have a side you prefer, left or right? Okay, sweet. Okay, so I put everything on the wrong side, that's good. So I'm just kind of going for a bit of a broad kind of lighting setup. And I've gone for the biggest softbox known to man because bigger means softer, but this is literally my first impressions with it. So I've shot with the Sony A1 for the last 2-3 years. I love it. It's a really, really great camera. There are a few little caveats. Firstly, new battery. That's kind of annoying. I gotta admit, that's one thing I was a bit like, oh, but apparently it's going to take, I think the old ones were rated for like 500 shots and this is rated for 770. So you're gonna need less. It's got auto white balance. I want to see what the auto is like on this thing. And then function, mechanical menu, C1. Oh, high speed, let's turn off high speed. Let's go to single shot. Yay, now we're pulling through. And for a JPEG, that feels really nice. So 66 megapixel stacked. I do need to turn my shutter speed up. Otherwise these are going to be nice and blurry later. Yeah, sick. There we go. This is a nice and easy setup. Yeah, lots of little movements, it's nice. The chin down, yeah, that's nice. Cool, great, great. Yep, it's locking in like that. Cool, let's have a look. Hey, this has worked seamlessly now that it's all set up. It feels really nice in the hand. The autofocus is very, very sticky. I've heard that was the one thing I was told is compared to my camera, this is going to be really, really nice. It's literally just locking on our eyes. And I feel like I'm not having to think too much about that, which is awesome. Yeah. And they look amazing. And thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I am sure we'll talk soon.
Yeah.
We've just spent a bit of time with the A7R VI, which is really comfortable in my hand. I've really enjoyed it. But I want to go back, see how it compares to the A7R V, because this is what a lot of people I think who are making the switch will probably be on, you know, and I feel like it's much more fair to go, oh, this is the improvements, this is what I think, this is why I would prefer to use it, or maybe not. We'll see in a second.
Yeah, so this is kind of
the vibe, yeah.
For also something a bit more like moving or...
Yeah, especially stuff like this where there's a bit more contrast. It's like a little bit harder to do, but I love doing it. So I'm super, super keen. What are we at? 5? Cool, we got plenty of room to move it up. Okay, sick. Yeah, just kind of like feeling it a bit. Yeah, that's so much nicer. Yeah, it's just knowing like the little stuff. Yeah. Well, thank you. I feel like this is really, really good. The A7R V is still a great camera. I'm going to do the rest on the A7R VI because there's a few little things I'm really enjoying about it that I want to keep playing with. Now, for me, the 60 megapixels has always been a bit of a like, God, is this going to take a lot longer to process? Do I need that much extra file size? The jump to 66, as well as the fact my computer's a lot faster than it used to be, means that I've kind of looked at this and I'm like, this is nice. The other thing, as I've mentioned, it feels really good in the hands. So in this body, we have a 66 full stacked sensor, which has a super high readout speed. So it's capable of 30 frames per second electronic, which is pretty sick. And I gotta admit, like, I like this thing. I didn't expect to anywhere near as much. And I'm like, oh, like, do I need another body? Well, if you see my A1, yes. The great thing is like, it feels like it's a great upgrade. The video specs, I think a lot of people were really impressed. This will do 8K at 30, which for me isn't that important, but I think for a lot of people, that might be a nice little feature, especially with that tally light. It could be a good B-cam. And it feels really well built. It feels like this is a solid iteration in everything they've done. The other nice thing, and we won't be able to see it under these lights, but this does have illuminated buttons, and it even has an illumination button on top, so you can light up the controls. So in dark environments, you can see like all the buttons. When I first picked up an A7, the original model, I found the camera cumbersome, and just the menus and interface and just the color was not something I would actually consider like a workhorse. And here I am going, I think this is the camera to beat right now. Yeah. Going back to this, the first thing I noticed is just how much quicker the autofocus is. It just feels much more responsive. They're in the same mode, I'm doing it the exact same way, but this just feels like it just sticks. Like, it's just grabbing in the eye, and I'm like, oh, like both are really good, but this just feels like on another level, you know? So I want to make the camera feel a little bit more comfortable, and the lovely thing is Sony have given me the new battery grip, which has some extra controls on it than the previous ones, which is sick. But the other nice thing is it's just going to make this a little bit easier on the hands. When you're shooting portrait lots, it's just nice to use the grip. So I've just been like looking at the autofocus and just kind of seeing, and nothing's missing. Like I'm impressed, like, because normally when you do this, like, I'm like, okay, a few frames are missed. The thing I'm missing is like good framing. So it's the issues I'm having are when I'm screwing up. But if I do this right now and I start going like this, like, it's nuts. Like, it's still locked onto Alicia's eye here, which is just insane. Like, I'm zooming that, and I'm zooming way in and way out, and it's not missing. That's nice. Like, I'm just having to think less about what the camera's doing and more focused on like making sure I'm enjoying the shots. What we haven't had a chance to do today as well is like use a black backdrop, which I brought out before, so I want to do that. We're taking our time with Liz. Everyone else had a deadline. We need a clamp. All I've done is I've just put a bit of illumination into the back as well, just so it's not too flat. I have really enjoyed this. The ergonomics on this thing, it just feels really good in the hand, especially compared to the A7R V. This just feels like a much more natural hand grip. And you know, I've had a silly little injury here. I've had surgery on my hand before, so for me, that's a big thing. If I can't shoot with this thing all day, it's not really gonna work for me. The viewfinder is really big and bright. They have improved that, and that's just the other nice thing. Like, you know, I have not felt the need to look away and be like, need to adjust things. It's getting so close to an optical, but the other nice thing is I'm seeing all the information I need to. The autofocus is weeding me out, and not in a bad way. I've just found like it's just so accurate I'm looking at it going, okay, I'm missing, or like, it's locked in so well and so cleanly. I feel like I'm not having to slow down and recompose and adjust. If I move my entire frame, if I've locked on, it's not moving, like it's not losing focus. The fact that I'd have to buy new batteries, switching over, seems like a bit of a downer, but at the same time, the fact that like these things hold their charge so well, and I walk away from my camera and I leave it on. I don't bother turning it off. It's quicker for me to just pick it up and just get shooting again. But turning it off can kind of slow me down sometimes, or I just forget to. I have not charged these since the start of the day, and I think we've only done 10%, you know? And I think I've shot like, we've got 2 in here, so technically 1,500 frames, but we've shot at least 500 images. And I think I've gone less than like 5% through these. So that's pretty impressive. It feels like a really good upgrade. It feels like, considering the distance between the 2 releases, the improvements, whilst are incremental, they're enormous for day-to-day use. And the other nice thing is here on top of the ports part, it still has the old school shutter sync PC port. That to me, when I'm connecting old lights, is something you really need. And it's nice to see that it hasn't been removed on a camera that's considered like integral to the Sony lineup for portraits and for fashion photographers. And it's now, being high resolution, if we really want, we can really zoom in just to see those couple of loose threads. And the terrifying thing is, now only the JPEGs, so they're 1/4 resolution for the final file. So now looking back at these images and having kind of a, I guess like a rough kind of look and a bit of a debrief. So I've let our models today pick out images they really liked. So I'm looking at some of the shots that Clara's picked now. And like the skin tone just feels really, really nice. And I know like we have differences between our 4 talent, but I feel like when I look at Carla's next, they just feel a little bit more muddy and a little too orange in some, and there's just a bit more shift, you know, between frames. I'm not talking like massive like differences in lighting and everything. I'm talking 1 shot, 2 shot. I'm going from one to the next, and yes, there's variations in the lighting, but it just feels like the skin tone is shifting quite a bit more between shots. Again, we're on auto. Normally when I shoot on 5500 Kelvin locked in. And yeah, it means that sometimes I have to adjust a few things, but shooting auto here on the A7R VI, and I'm like, okay, this feels good, you know? Moving to Alicia, like, you know, often like when we work with different skin tones and different skin colors, Alicia, is a Fijian, so she's got much darker skin, but like, it's not shifting. I'm not losing, I'm not having like it drop into, shifting to yellow or reds. And same thing when we get to Liz's. Like, it just feels like it really nails it. That's a really nice improvement. From my end of things, like, that can be a real big pain in the butt. Now, would I leave it on auto all the time? I think I'd have to shoot with it more, but from here, I'm feeling pretty damn good, which is rare, you know? I don't like relying on auto. I think, you know, you need to know what you're doing most of the time, but, you know, in a pinch, being able to kind of like jump into that and not have any issues, solid. Thank you so much for following along. I hope you enjoyed that. If you are an A7R V user, if you're coming from an A7 III, maybe an A7 IV, an A7 V, and like you feel like you need that extra file size, you feel like you need something that kind of like gives you a bit of an extra oomph, I gotta admit, I'm impressed. If you enjoyed that, thanks for watching, because I know getting through those specs and figuring out whether it's the right camera for you, it's a real chore. And if you're still trying to figure that out, come visit us in Chatswood or Sydney CBD and get your hands on it. We should have demos very soon.